Good morning. I'm going to finish up the lecture over the organ systems. This should be pretty quick and painless. So you might have even heard of some of these. My guess is you've heard of most of them, if you haven't heard of all of them at this point. So the first one that we're going to talk about is your cardiovascular system. Sometimes this is called the circulatory system, although that's kind of an older term. Anymore, it's pretty much called the cardiovascular system, and the reason why is it includes the cardiac muscle, but it's also the vascular part, which implies that you're talking about blood. So we tend to just use cardiovascular, but its job is to circulate the blood around your body. So it's going to include things like your heart, your blood vessels, blood in general. So it's vitally important to your body as it's going to circulate all of that blood with the oxygen and the nutrients. So it's kind of the transportation, I don't know if you call it system, but the transportation authority in your body. So the second one we're going to talk about is your digestive system. This system you're probably very well familiar with. This particular system is responsible for breaking down and absorbing the nutrients from the food that you eat. So it does mechanical, which would be things like chewing, the actual physical breaking apart. Some of that is also done inside of your mouth, or in your stomach, sorry. Some of it's also done within your stomach, to where now your stomach also is responsible for doing some chemical digestion as well, but it's also going to be there to help you with the chemical and mechanical, so both of them technically. And then absorbing the nutrients into your bloodstream so that the cardiovascular system can then take all of that, all of those nutrients from your food and distribute it throughout your body, in the bloodstream. The next system that we'll look at is your endocrine system. This is the system of hormones. So it's responsible for your sex hormones, but it's also responsible for hormones like adrenaline, regulating your heart rate. But it's also, it does a whole bunch of stuff. So it's also responsible for secreting hormones that determine how quickly you break down food. To a certain extent, it's going to regulate your growth and development, so how tall you're going to grow. There are some hormones that regulate that as well. And so basically, if there's a hormone involved, your endocrine system is going to be the one that secretes it. Your immune system is the next one that we're going to look at. This particular system is responsible for making sure that or kicking anything out of your body that doesn't need to be there, that could be considered a threat. So it's constantly on the lookout for things that don't belong there. So this is going to be made up of your white blood cells, specifically B cells, T cells. You could even argue that your skin would be a part of your immune system because it's the first line of defense against letting foreign objects or foreign bodies into your system, into your body. So obviously it provides that first barrier that's going to keep unwanted substances out. Then we've got your, and they get rid of those things that aren't supposed to be there. So not only do they fight off everything, but they get rid of it. So if it's not supposed to be there, like a bacteria. And a side note, if your body, this is just a random thing, you don't really need to know, but if you ever have a disease where your body can't recognize its own stuff and starts attacking itself, we call that an autoimmune disease. So depending on how much time we have and depending on what interests you, we might be able to look into some of those, so into a little bit more. So right now we just kind of do an overview of everything. Alrighty, your next one is going to be your integumentary system, which we'll talk about here in a little while, later towards, I guess, the middle of the week. So this particular system is responsible for, well, it's not responsible for it. It makes up your skin. So it provides, it does a whole bunch of things. It protects your body from outside intruders, but it also is going to help protect your body from, you know, UV sunlight and things like that. It's going to help regulate your temperature. So it does a multitude of things. And in this system, you also have your skin, hair, your hair and your nails. So anything to do with your hair and your nails, it's also here. So yeah, it's your integumentary system. It's probably one of the least well-known body systems in your body. Next one, your lymphatic system. This is another one that a lot of people don't really know. The only thing that they really usually do recognize would be lymph nodes. Those tend to be words that people recognize. It's almost like another circulatory system because it will circulate material around your body, but it circulates lymph. So it's somewhat responsible for the liquid balance inside of your body. Lymph is kind of a clear substance that kind of moves along in your body. And so yeah, that's kind of what it does. And then it's also going to contain your some of your B cells. So it kind of overlaps with your what's it called, the immune system. So this is where cancer tends to go undetected easily because it's a whole nother circulation system. It's a whole, I mean, you've got lymph vessels, just like you have blood vessels that transport this lymph, and then there's some pockets of what we call the lymph nodes where that lymph can kind of pool up, and that's typically where you might find cancer cells, like you have cancer in your lymph nodes. There's a collection of those under your armpits, but they're kind of collected throughout your body. They're not all over the place. They're condensed into specific areas in your body, but basically it's there to help maintain a liquid balance inside of your body. Your next one is your muscular system. Your muscular system's job is to obviously help you move. So we'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow when we go over muscular tissue. But there's 3 different types of muscular tissue: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. So not only does it help you move, but it helps things inside of you move, like your heart helps move food along in your intestines. So things like that. Basically, it's to help things move, you and stuff inside of you. Nervous tissue is the next one. Your nervous system, rather, and this is kind of the head honcho, if you will, because this contains your brain and spinal cord, so it's going to tell everything else what to do. Without your nervous system, the rest of these systems can't really function at all. So the next one would be the reproductive system. This particular system is responsible for obviously making more organisms like the parent. So ensuring the survival of the species would be the job of the reproductive system. Next one would be the respiratory system. This one works really closely in line with your cardiovascular system. So this would be mostly contained to your lungs, some of your blood, but mostly your lungs. So this would be the system that gets the oxygen into your body. Doesn't really move it around, but it gets it into the body. It also gets rid of the carbon dioxide and other wastes that that kind of circulate in your blood that can be exhaled out. The rest of it's going to have to be through a different system. So the filtering, actually filtering of the blood and actually physically filtering it and removing those wastes that can't be exhaled, that's the job of a different system. But your respiratory's main job is to bring in oxygen and exhale water vapor and carbon dioxide. Without this system, your cardiovascular system can't function because this is how it gets its the oxygen it needs. So it's almost like the farmers are like the respiratory system and the grocery store is the cardiovascular. You know, the grocery store, the cardiovascular system needs food or oxygen from the farmers, or in this case, the respiratory system. So very, very dependent on that particular system. All right, the next one is your skeletal system. This system's job is to give your body support and structure. So without this, without this particular system, you just be kind of a big pile of muscles and organs and skin. You would just kind of be a blob. So this gives you the shape that you have. It also serves as a deposit for minerals. So it does store minerals inside those bone cells, which we'll learn about here a little while later. Sorry, that's my cat going kind of crazy. So and again, we'll go more in depth into this, but this is just kind of an overview of all of the systems. Okay, so the last system, rather not the next system, but the last system in place is going to be the urinary system. Sometimes it's called the excretory system, excretory, excretory, excretory. This one I kind of see it in both. So it's not like the cardiovascular system used to be called the circulatory. This one is sometimes called excretory, sometimes it's called urinary. It's basically, it is the same thing. But this is the one I was kind of talking about with the respiratory system. This particular system's job is to filter the blood and get rid of wastes from the blood. So as your body cells use the nutrients from your digestive system that were brought to it by the cardiovascular system, those cells are going to create wastes and byproducts. And so some of it can be exhaled out through the respiratory system like the carbon dioxide, but some of it can't be. And so that has to be filtered through, your kidneys, and then your kidneys then deposit it into into water that you've intaken, and so that mixed with the wastes is what produces your urine, and so that's what's going to get rid of those wastes also. So there's several different places that we get rid of wastes, but this is a big one, since this is what filters your blood. So kind of a quick overview, I know, but if you do have any questions over these, please don't hesitate to ask. Some of these lesser known ones aren't as well known, but that's okay. So just, like I said, if you do have questions, just ask, and I would be more than happy to go over them with you. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day.